because I have been following your stories a little bit
Okay.
as well. I love them. I'm sure
Thanks.
you get a lot of positive feedback from
do.
them. Let's go ahead and start by introducing ourselves. So you know us because we met you in yoga class, which I feel is a great place to meet people.
For sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm Tyler.
Hi.
And this is
And I'm Gabriel.
Hi.
If you want to introduce yourself before I butcher your name, I've said it probably 6 times in my head different ways.
Totally. So it's Pasquale.
Pasquale.
Yeah. It's very Italian.
Pasquale.
Very.
Yeah, very Italian.
Last name is quite Italian too.
Guiducci.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you speak Italian? What's Italian? Do you
Do you
speak
speak
Italian?
Italian?
I speak the stallion.
Italian stallion?
I speak some Italian. Yeah, it was my
Wow.
first language growing up, and then
Nice.
yeah, I'm the oldest of 4, and then
Wow.
like because like you have like 4 kids under the age of 5, and like one's in school and the others aren't in school. It's like how do you like train bilingually?
Right.
Yeah.
And so we stopped speaking Italian in the house, but
Cool.
I understand a lot of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can imagine it gets complicated with 4. So you're the oldest of
I'm
4.
the oldest of 4.
Wow.
Were you kind of the third parent, so to speak, in which you were kind of
Oh,
like in charge of the 3 under you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My parents were also divorced,
Gotcha.
so it was like
Added
yeah,
responsibility.
just like the extra parent always.
Were you also like the mediator between the parents?
Yes and no. I mean, like my parents have always been friends and are still
That's
friends
good.
to this day, and they own a business together.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That's
have a really
cool.
crazy upbringing, honestly. But yeah, I always was like the babysitter, like the mediator. I'm the most level-headed, I think, in my family.
Sure.
Yeah.
I come from a family of divorce as well, but my parents were not friends. They got divorced when I was 2 and reluctantly would see each other because we lived in the same city. They would see each other around, like going to the same dentist or like they ended up going to the same church, all of that. It was kind of strange. I feel like in some ways one parent was slightly following the other, but that's a whole nother topic for another day.
Part 2.
You know, divorce is crazy.
Absolutely.
It's wild when you're a kid too, trying to understand that, especially too when you're queer as well,
Yeah.
because you're already dealing with that.
I think it's fascinating because I think like because it's so much your normal, like
Yes.
you don't know anything else,
Right.
and so like being like my situation was super crazy where it was like my parents were divorced and then like my dad had like a new wife with 3 kids who were older than me, so I was like
Wow.
now like not the oldest anymore.
Right.
And
Wow.
then my mom was like kind of dating but not dating, and then so it was like I would spend one weekend with her and then one weekend with him, and then like
Yeah.
I would have one weekday a week with him, and it just was like our routine.
Sure.
And we didn't know anything other than that for so long, so it
Right.
kind of just was how it was.
Yeah, I can relate with that too. When my dad was gone, out of those years, like people would say, "Oh, was it weird, like not growing up, you know, with a father?" I'm like, "Well, I didn't really know otherwise. I just was growing up. That's what I was focused on at the time."
Absolutely.
And now I'm an adult. I like to blame all my traumas on that
As you should.
situation.
It's always daddy issues or the moon.
Yes.
For
right? It's
sure.
one of the two.
Oh, or someone's in retrograde.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Totally.
So I assume you weren't born and raised in LA, but I could be wrong.
I wasn't.
Where were you
Wow.
from?
You want to guess?
Italy?
Think of close. Almost Italy. The Italy
New York?
of the U.S.
New York?
Number 2. Neighbors.
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
New
Wow.
Jersey.
Yeah.
We keep meeting people from
Yeah.
New Jersey.
We're fun.
Yeah.
We're everywhere.
And a lot maybe relocate to LA because there's like 4 people we've met in LA that are from
Yeah.
New Jersey in the last like week.
It's
Yeah.
funny because New Jersey is the most, I mean, at least it was the most densely populated state in
Right.
the country. It's like
Right.
the most people per like square mile.
Wow.
And even when I went to college, like we called it gay Jew, and everyone was either gay or Jewish, but half of school was like, from New Jersey, which is so crazy. But yeah, we kind of flock places.
Sure.
Ah,
sure. You
interesting.
know,
You know.
it's I think growing up in New Jersey, I would assume it was more of a city life kind of vibe.
I would say like kind of metropolitan. Like,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
you have New York like super
Right.
close to
Yeah.
the north. You have Philadelphia to the like to the,
Exactly.
the west.
So you feel like you have access.
A lot of
and,
access.
And you feel like you can travel. In North Florida, where I grew up, I didn't even like assume I could ride a plane until I was in my late teens. So I was like, this
Yeah.
is just not
Yeah.
what we do here.
Totally. Totally.
It's funny because it's not like we were like, you know, hanging with the cows like in the pasture.
You weren't?
We know.
Yeah, okay.
It's suburban life. There's a downtown, but it just doesn't feel like things are so accessible.
Yeah,
You
I
feel
said
like the big cities are more out of reach.
There's so much to do. It's so close to things, right? Like you're just
Yes.
like you're within 45 minutes each
Right.
way to like a major cultural city.
Yeah.
So-
How did you feel growing up in Brazil? Did you
Well-
feel like you could like get to a big city easily?
Well, there was a big city where it's 1 hour away from my hometown, and it's not really big.
It's like
bigger than
Jacksonville,
my
so we're
hometown.
from.
But the first time that I flew, I was probably 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Brazil. I had a very, my experience was very rural.
Yeah.
I say because I never was exposed to a big city, a metropolitan city, until I was 20 years old. When I moved here and was exposed to LA, New York,
Yeah.
huge cities.
He's made up for lost time.
Was this your first city out of Brazil? Like, was it LA?
Miami.
Miami.
Miami
Okay.
Beach.
Also not like a huge city.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
New York, LA.
No,
right? But
very
like,
different.
yeah.
But when you're in Jacksonville, Miami is like the biggest city
Yes.
you can imagine. So then when you go there, you're like, okay, and then you visit New York and LA, and it's just extremely overwhelming. Like, this is
Massive.
why I just moved here. We just, relocated here. I'm almost 35 now, but I'm finally like, okay, I think I can handle a big city.
When's your birthday?
May. It's coming
May.
up.
Taurus.
May 13th. Yes.
Okay.
Taurus.
Happy early birthday.
Thank you. I'm what they say, a true Taurus. I don't know what that means. I
Okay.
don't follow those things, but
I don't
I've been
know.
told that I'm stubborn,
Okay.
hard-headed, which I guess would go along with stubborn. But those are the main things that people like to tell me that I am when
Okay.
when they're calling
You
me.
like what you like.
Yeah, oh for sure.
Yeah. And you
It
like good
changes
things.
sometimes, but I do like. And they say that materialistic is one of the things they
Ooh.
say that I
You want
am.
That's true.
security. Things,
Oh, that's
items bring
for
you like
sure.
pleasure, and they bring you like a sense of
Yeah.
groundedness.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I think that too. We talked to someone recently how my parents, I feel like, used material things and like purchases and gifts to like feed love to me, and that was
Mhm.
probably directed to them at some point in our sort of generational traumas.
Totally cycles repeat.
But I think that definitely strikes a chord. It does make me feel a little bit more secure when I have things, which is
Yeah.
interesting and definitely not something I am proud of.
Yeah, I mean, that's also how we're raised. It's how our culture functions, and like,
Yeah.
I've been actually actively kind of like reframing what it means to have stuff. I got rid
Sure.
of all my things back in December, so now I have two
Wow.
suitcases in my car.
Well, that's
And I've been-
amazing.
yeah, and I've been on this whole like nomadic kind of like
I like
exploring
that.
journey.
Yeah.
Sure.
So like, I don't even call LA like my home anymore. But it's kind of crazy because like when you don't have a lot of stuff, like you care a lot less about things.
sure.
And then I'm also like, well, I'm not trying to buy more things to add to like my already pretty stuffed suitcases. So I'm not like participating in consumer culture.
Right.
And so it starts to like really like you just have to like, wow, like what actually matters? Like what
Yeah,
do I how do I
exactly.
participate
Yeah.
Yes.
in this society?
Yeah.
When I,
can-
really believe in it.
I can totally relate to that because in Brazil growing up, I was materialistic. I like my things, my toys, my clothes. When I moved here, I had one luggage, one suitcase, very, very little, only the essentials. And after that, I feel like I decided not to be as materialistic as before because I learned that I did not need all this stuff that I thought that I needed back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met him and I walked in his closet and I was like, where are your clothes?
That's it.
That was it. It was like a few like staples, and he's actually tried to rub off on me. I'm like I like we hit the nail on the head earlier. I think I like to find like grounding and security and
Absolutely.
like creating my space, and by having my space and filling it with my things, I feel like I have my place of, I guess, like you said, grounding, like it's mine.
Yeah.
And growing up, we moved around a lot and money was not readily available a lot of the time. And so I had a lot of that, like, anxiety about safety and feeling comfort in my space. And we've been working on this to try and like detach ourselves from things. It's very challenging.
It is.
Because we live in a capitalist society. We're programmed to work, and then when you have the money that you work
Yep.
with, then what do you do with it? And yeah, it becomes this cycle and this entrapment of buy more, buy more.
And it's so easy to buy, right? You can just go on Amazon and buy
At a,
thousands
heart,
of, yeah.
at a tap of your finger,
Yeah.
you got whatever you want.
Especially
Exactly.
here, they deliver it within
Same
like
day.
Yeah,
Same
it's
day.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, again, being in a city, like there's so much access to like things.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny having like a different perspective or relationship to money. I've never been somebody that like super save. Like I save,
Sure.
but like I also like never like made a lot in the first place either. Like I teach yoga, so it's like I'm not doing that for the big bucks. I'm
Right.
doing it because I love what I do.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've always found that I've had exactly what I need,
Yep.
and never more, never less. And when you kind of like believe that you have always just enough,
Yep.
there's no point in saving it because what will you do with it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no point in like also like not making any, like we need something to survive. We're not a Burning Man. Yeah. Right. Where we're just like giving things for fun.
Bartering.
Right. Gifting
Yeah.
love
Yes.
and items.
Yes.
But yeah, it is a wonky balance.
It is. So how did you get from New Jersey to LA?
Born and raised in Jersey.
Yeah.
I lived there till I was 18.
Wow.
Moved to DC.
Oh.
I lived there for 11 years.
Wow.
Amazing.
And everyone's always flabbergasted. They're like, you lived in DC? I could never picture you there.
I can see that.
But lived there for 11 years, and then I moved here in the pandemic.
Wow, not so
Yeah,
long
I'll
ago.
also be 35. I'll be 35 in December.
Cool.
Twinsies.
When in December?
10th.
Oh my God, I was born December 9th.
Hi, Sag.
Hello.
Okay, this is great.
See, apparently I track
twins.
Sages.
Yeah, we're fun. We're the fun side.
We are. I agree.
I attract Tauruses,
Oh.
but I won't date them anymore. That's for later. But we'll get into
We'll get into that
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure.
I definitely want to get into your dating history. We don't want to put you on the spot by any means, but I do love your Instagram
Thanks.
stories. They're
Thank you.
very real, honest. I love that you're also very positive with the things that you sort of always bring it back to the positive, which you
Thanks.
probably learned throughout your practice and throughout yoga. But I'm curious a little bit about this DC experience because we love DC, but
Yeah.
probably not for the same reasons that most people do.
Why do you love DC?
We love DC because it's usually temporary when we go.
Yeah, it's always a short trip.
It's always
Yeah.
good weather.
Great
'cause
for a
we go-
weekend.
yeah, we go in the summertime. We love to walk. We love to see the monuments. We love the history behind it. We don't really go out, so there's not much of that, but there's great food.
Yeah.
People are, in general, pretty nice,
Yeah.
at least in the summertime.
Mhm.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
we usually go in the summertime.
Yeah, again, we love to just go on we'll take
Yeah.
like 3 hours and just walk through all the monuments and go back to our hotel and,
Yeah.
and smoke some weed.
DC's a great city. I
Yeah.
mean, again, I lived there for 11 years and I loved it when I loved it.
Sure.
And then I didn't love it anymore. Right? You kind of like outgrow places.
Right.
Sure.
And I learned to become an adult in DC, right? I was 18 and very like kind of sheltered in so many ways and very innocent. I'm still very innocent in many ways and just
Yeah.
very like that naivety, how I see life and perspective. But to become an adult in the capital of the country is kind of crazy. And I
Yeah.
take it for granted sometimes because like I wasn't so like aware of like being in the political
Yeah.
capital of the world, honestly.
for sure.
Right? And so I became an adult and I picked up lots of different values and some of those values no longer really serve me, right? So
Sure.
there was an unlearning process for many of those. But I love DC. It was a great city. It was really fun. My first gay bar club was in DC. I went to school there. I had so many friends, community in DC. Again, great food scene, monuments, great culture,
Yes.
lots of art. It's a really artsy city.
Yes.
For sure.
And I was an actor for a long time professionally in that city. And people are like, DC has theater. I'm like, DC has one of the best theaters in the country,
Wow.
next
For
to
sure.
New York. And then I did not love it anymore. And it was like holding me back.
Yeah.
And kind of like hindering expression.
What was the point when you're like, okay, this is it. This is holding me back. Okay, was there something that was kind of cultivating? Was it like relationships, career, all of it?
I mean, DC is again like DC. They say if you're not either in politics or like a lawyer or like a consultant, like what are you doing in DC? So whenever I would say, "Oh, I'm an actor," and "Oh, I'm a fitness instructor," they're like, "Okay," and so they really like hold like a lot of
Wow.
those like DC gays, like whatever, like even the city in general.
Right.
It's like if you don't have anything to help them level up their own career, they don't have anything to do with you.
I've heard of that.
And so, I mean, which isn't always true, and
Sure.
it's very stereotypical, of course.
Yes.
Like there are pockets of things, and nothing's black and white.
Right.
But DC was a really hard city where it's so pulled back from expression, right? Like it's very much like you have to button up and suit up and
Yeah.
dress for the part, and
Yeah.
people are afraid to like be loud or be bright or be big and bold, and so that was really hard to like have to hide things away. Like I used to get told when I would go out that I was always extra.
Oh, wow.
And it was so and I wasn't doing anything but having fun. I was just
Right.
having a fun time. And
Right.
people would see like my big boldness as like, oh, you're like asking for attention.
Sure.
And I was like, it took me a long time to realize like, oh, if you were to do my actions,
Right.
It would be asking
that
for
would be asking for
attention.
attention.
Right. Yes, they're
But
just
me doing my
projecting.
actions
Right.
is just me being myself. And
Right.
so
Wow.
there was a lot of like, you learn through your traumas, don't you? So you learn through like all the bullshit that happens to you. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big part of it. And I think I've been to LA twice already for some TV things. And then my first actual trip to LA with for a good 2 weeks was amazing. And I loved it. And I was like, I need to move to LA. And then fast forward 6 months and I came back again and I was like, okay, I'm going to definitely move to LA.
Yeah.
And I told my boss, I was at Equinox, just teaching again
Sure.
at Equinox. And they were like, I was like, hey, I'm moving to LA. I would love to get transferred. Can you help me? And my boss, Jen, who I love, and she's like my other mother, was like, hey, how about this? How about we hire you to become the new group fitness manager for the brand new location? And you do that role for a couple of years, build up, get this under your belt. And then you can move to LA with an actual set in stone job.
Right.
I was like, okay, great. So I ended up staying in DC a little bit longer to do that for a while.
Sure.
But that was the beginning of the like start of like, I need to get out of
Next
here.
step,
Like I'm
yeah.
not really happy here anymore, but I'm like doing it to like make some big moves. And when pandemic hit, I was just miserable.
I'm sure it's interesting. Like you turn 18, you're ready to kind of express yourself, be an adult, and then you're kind of greeted with this internalized homophobia,
Yeah.
like in one of the biggest cities that has a vibrant gay scene, at least on the outer perspective. But then, as I've learned, I mean, DC, like you mentioned, does have sort of this reputation. Again, we're being stereotypical, but that they need to be a certain way, and that sort of flamboyance or extraness is kind of shunned. Did you feel that, or was it more just like people were just acknowledging that you were different more often?
I mean, I will say this. I think DC is like a gay city,
Yeah, I think so
not
too.
a queer city.
Wow.
Okay.
So let's like make that like that
Yeah.
like,
Right.
that separation, right?
Like gay white man
it's gay,
city.
gay white boy city, and it's not queer.
Right.
It's not like different or like
Right.
it's not really so celebrated that way. And I think
Right.
it's changing. I
Sure.
will say that. I think like things are like shifting and people are like having like dipping their toes into things. And
Sure.
like, okay, great, you wear your heels, girl. Get it. You paint your nails. Finally, it took you like 15 years.
Yeah, for sure.
And things take time. But I think like, I mean, I went to school in DC, so it was the mix of like being in a city and being in college.
Yeah,
And it was like a very like that's like a lot to throw at somebody.
for sure.
But it was very different. Like I grew up very Italian and like very sheltered, and I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things as a kid.
Were your parents pretty conservative?
My
growing
parents
up?
are pretty strict,
Sure.
and it's like and not as strict as I would say my grandparents are, but like for somebody living like in America and like
Yeah.
trying to integrate into like
Yeah.
this like culture, like I was not allowed to do a lot of things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that resurfaced itself later, making you want to do kind of more things that you want? Because, example, my parents were very busy with their own stuff going on, so I had a lot of freedom,
Okay.
unintentional freedom.
Sure.
I went out to my first gay bar when I was like 15.
Work.
I was like getting wasted like before and after high school. I went to like a Christian high school and would like be out partying all night
Yeah.
and have like Charlie horses from the dehydration walking into school the next day. I would even keep like a uniform in my, because we had to wear uniforms, like I'd keep an extra uniform in my car so I could just throw it on because
Prepared.
who knew?
You're ready.
I needed to be ready for the party.
Yeah.
And
And
that
for
was-
class.
Yeah. And so by the time I hit 20, I was like over it. I
Totally.
didn't even want to go to the bar. The whole fun and joy of going there previously was like sneaking
Mm-hmm.
in and you go with your friends. And at least that was my experience. So by the time you were like on your own, you're like, all right, the rules have been broken. I can do what I want.
I mean, I definitely love to party. I mean, my dad owns a nightclub still, so like I
What?
grew up, yeah. So he's had that since I was 10. So I was really always
That's
in like the
cool.
bar nightclub scene already.
Sure.
And I wasn't like, I mean, I wasn't not allowed to drink. Like,
Right.
it wasn't a big issue. Like that wasn't a thing. Like I didn't really care to drink.
Sure.
But I will say like when I was like finally on my own, things got like, I mean, we would party all the time.
Sure.
Right. Like going out to the nightclubs and the bars and. I was a theater kid, right? And the theater kids had our own flavor of partying.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, we would have our, like, pre-games and everyone would have their own bottle of wine.
Wow.
And that's how we partied in college, with wine and just, like, chugging the wine out of the bottle.
I get you.
Yeah, bless.
Yeah,
Bless the theater kids.
Many nights we have gone to a gas station for some yellowtail. And
Oh,
whatever
some
they
friends,
had.
yeah. Burnett's.
Anything they got. If it's in
Yeah.
a box, even better.
Totally. But yeah, I had a number of like really bad hangovers in college, like debilitating, like can't eat or drink till like
Wow.
8 p.m. the next
Yeah.
day kind of hangovers.
You had a bit of a drinking culture growing
Yeah,
up.
in Brazil, we drink since we were like 13 years old. No one cares. And drink heavy too. Drink vodka, wine, anything goes, as long as there's alcohol in it. And since very young, I used to drink a lot. And now, which is funny, now that I'm adult, I don't drink at all. If I
Right.
drink, I'm hangover for the next 3 days.
Oh yeah.
And he's a bit younger than me, so I got to kind of watch his transition of being not able to drink as often, because when we first started dating, I already was kind of like, okay, the sauce is really starting to hit me hard. I was like 28 or 29.
Yeah.
And
Same.
First few times that we got like really hammered, I'd have to go get an IV of fluids, like at one of those IV clinics.
Yeah.
And he'd be sitting next to me like, he's rough around the edges, but fine. And then, later
We
on.
judging
years
you a little bit
later,
too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
And I'm like, this is going to happen to you. He's like, And lo and behold, the years have passed, and he's right with me.
It's so funny. I'm sober now myself.
Sure.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years now.
Amazing.
And even like around like 28, 29, when I was getting more
Yeah.
like really serious about like my career in terms of like being fitness and you know in that world,
Yeah.
I just like my drinking
Yeah.
habits just really shifted. And DC is a drinking city. Like
Yeah.
Sure.
DC's like sports are gay kickball
Right.
and brunch.
Yeah.
And on Sundays you do both.
Wow.
And if you're off season for kickball, you're definitely still doing brunch on Sundays, like
Sure.
and bottomless mimosas. And so like I grew up drinking like a lot in that city, and then I started shifting and pandemic hit, and I was like, you know, I'm not going to be the person who like drinks in my apartment because I'm
Right.
alone and sad. So I'm not going to drink at all.
Right.
So I didn't drink that entire year pretty much.
Wow.
Wow.
And then moving to LA, things shifted, and it became, you know, it was like LA was on. LA was
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you were here in 2020.
Not yet.
Okay, LA was like, gave no fucks. Like people were everywhere and like all over the place, and like
Florida was the
at
same.
the beach,
Yeah.
right? Like people were like whatever, and I was like, you know, like I'm not afraid of anything, so I'm like
Right.
I'm gonna enjoy and
Yeah.
be mindful and be safe, but like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like stop my life.
Right.
And that was the first time I did any drugs in my life because I had nothing until I moved to LA,
Sure.
and that was a really fascinating like
Shift.
shift.
What did you try, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I mean, like it was just so crazy because LA normalizes drug abuse,
Yeah.
like anything else. It's like
Sure.
it would be a Wednesday night, and I'd be at a friend's house, and everyone's just like doing ketamine, watching music videos, and I was like,
Sure.
Cool.
okay. And it took me a few months to even like want to like and participate.
Sure.
But you know, tried my share of ketamine and mushrooms and Molly for the first time, and like just like the happy things. Like
Sure.
that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was really a good time, but I also found I didn't need it. Like I never needed it in the first place,
Yeah.
but it was like a social, like, it's like, oh, here's a sip.
Right.
Oh, here's a bump. Oh, here's a bump. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I went to what I thought was supposed to be a like mushroom sound bath.
Oh, that sounds
I was
lovely.
like, so cute. A little bit of like a small dose of mushrooms, sound bowls, like
Relaxation.
relaxing.
Sounds very
maybe some cute
LA.
lights, right? And it wasn't until like I had arrived there, and like I think even after I'd done it, that I realized, like, oh, this is not a sound bath. It was a full like mushroom journey.
Wow.
And so I had taken 5 grams of mushrooms, which is a hero's dose,
Right.
and lost my fucking mind.
Wow.
Well, did
Yeah.
you experience anything exciting, or do you not recall?
No, I definitely remember the entire night, and it was
Yeah.
just like, you know, talk about like getting stuck in the loops and like seeing yourself. And
Right.
no one talks about having an ego death with mushrooms. It's more of an ayahuasca thing. But definitely this sense of like really resetting yourself. And
Sure.
I left that night still very like much tripping. Like I
Sure.
wasn't like, again, I wasn't used to doing anything more than like maybe a stem or
Sure.
a cap
Small.
if I go out, and I go from like that to a full like 5-gram dose is like
yeah.
really intense. And so I left at my friend's house still tripping, seeing my friends' faces like melting away, and I was like, I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah.
And I thought I was dying. Like I literally thought that this
Wow.
was kind of it.
Yeah.
And like the matrix that we live in is closing up, and I was like, I think I'm gonna wake up tomorrow as a baby. I'm gonna wake up and like my next thought will be me like
Sure.
coming out of the vagina.
Yeah.
And so like I went to bed that night. I stripped down fully naked and went to bed in the fetal position.
You were
ready
ready.
ready to like awaken as a baby.
You're like, this is
Wow.
not going to be
and I
a
woke
C-section.
up and I was
I'm
no,
ready.
I'm coming out of the hole. And I woke up and I was like, wow, that was a lot. And
Yeah.
I think I'm done. And that was really the beginning of like becoming like fully sober.
Sure.
I was gonna ask you, that experience probably changed your life.
Yeah, it was a big shift. I mean, it woke up so many different parts of myself, and then
Mm-hmm.
just like kind of stepping into your own power of like
Yeah.
what do you actually need and why do you do what you do.
Yeah.
And I have since then like done mushrooms a couple of times here and there, and it's always been like, what is the intention behind it?
Right.
And I
Sure.
never say that I'm like, I never do anything forever,
Yeah.
right? It's just like, am I choosing this right now or not? What's
Exactly.
the intention behind it?
Right.
So if I wanted to have a drink, which is like super rare, but if I was like, oh, we're gonna celebrate something and it's your big celebration, like great, I'll have a sip of champagne. Great, it's not gonna kill me, right? There's no, I don't want to put strict
Yeah.
rules in anything.
Yeah, and there's a varying sort of identity around sober and what
Absolutely.
what
Yes.
people need out of sobriety, right? There's people who could never do that. They could never say I need or can only have just a little bit. There are people who can say I'm just not going to drink for now, or I'm not going to use substance for now, and that works for
Absolutely.
them. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely an individual journey. In regards to to some of the substances that we've tried, I mean, at least for me, I can speak. I've only ever taken THC, and we did try mushrooms together once with another physician, because I was like, who can I trust to, like, you know, be in the right setting? And I'm a very nervous, anxious person with trying new things,
Same.
especially in that capacity. And we had a relatively good time. We did take probably more than you'd want to take to go out, because I could not move from my seat. We were outside, though. I watched planes go by for like 4 hours.
Totally.
What I personally enjoyed about that experience, though, is that I couldn't fixate on any thoughts. Like, my brain would literally not let me even complete a sentence. We were even trying to talk to each other. I'm like, oh, I'll you later.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I couldn't.
We would tell each other it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because nothing matters. At least from my experience, it was a great exposure to a way that my brain was basically telling me nothing matters.
Yeah.
Just be in the moment.
Presence.
And because at the time too, I was trying to like force myself into a journey to like discover some issues I had in my past with my mom, and I kept trying to think of my mom, and my brain was like, we're not interested. We're just gonna focus on this guy.
Totally.
And you know, everyone's experience is different, and I'm not encouraging anyone to try a new substance on their own or with a doctor. That's up to you. There's no endorsing here. But I've had a pretty good relationship with cannabis, though, and I've done a lot of research there. There's a lot of medical studies. We've done medical studies on it since the 40s. Most of them have been hidden, even though they've been conducted by the government. I just finished this book called The History of Cannabis, so I'm like really feeling the vibe. Are you a cannabis fan? Or
I'm not.
That's okay.
No, I mean, like, it's so funny. I've never liked weed. It makes me super anxious, and like I'm very perceptive. I'm very like quick on the beat.
It will do that,
and it makes me get really slow, and so my natural processes of how I like function like don't work anymore, and it feels like when they say stoned, I literally become like a marble statue, and like I can't even think thoughts, and it's uncomfortable for me. So I've never been a weed person ever. But when I have done weed, it was one time specifically I remember I like couldn't breathe. Like, it was just like, it was so intense. I was like, so I had to like do some really calming yoga breathing. Which segues me into saying, like, I also teach breathwork. And the breathwork I teach has people who have done ayahuasca will say, I haven't felt that way since I did ayahuasca. So it has the same psychotic effects when you breathe in certain patterns.
For sure.
And it will unlock part of your prefrontal cortex of your brain that like holds the ego, and it will shut it down. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, breathwork is insane. I mean, there's so much clinical evidence around the parasympathetic nervous system and how, I'm sure you know, it controls so many aspects of not only our brain and our nervous system, but pretty much any physiological process in our body. So the breath really can have that dramatic response. I think you really have to be ready to accept that that's going to be a potential result. I think a lot of people go in, even myself, go into those types of situations like, this isn't going to work. This is and then of course it's not, and then it's not going to, right? If that's your
and I think
intention.
I think too, when people have it's like what you said with the mushroom and like having, I'm gonna talk about my mom. Like when you predispose what you think your experience is gonna be, you don't allow room for experiences to just be what it's gonna be. Right. And that's when we get into trouble. It's like when I expect things to happen in this kind of way, and I'm holding on to that specific journey, there's no room for wriggle, and there's no room for actually allowing yourself to just find the flow where you're supposed to go.
Sure. So speaking of finding the flow of where you're supposed to go, how did you find yoga?
I went to school for musical theater.
I was going to ask what you went to school for, but you already got it.
And education. I went to, double education, double major.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to school for musical theater, and it was my first summer back home from college. I was staying home for summer, and I was like that tight little like, boy in dance classes. I was like, because I never take anything like professional, like anything like in a studio or like a technical version of a dance class. Sure. And so I was like, I have to get flexible because I'm embarrassing myself and it's really hard, and I want to like get really good at this dance classes. Yeah. So I got into yoga.
Through flexibility is what your goal was.
For flexibility. And so I went to this little gym in New Jersey, and they had classes at the gym. It's called WOW, Workout World. And met this woman, Courtney, who became like my teacher, like my first teacher. And I was obsessed. And I loved only her classes. And there would be mornings I would wake up at 7:50.
Wow.
I would jump out of bed. Mind you, 18-year-old summer vacation.
Been there.
And I would like run to the gym for an 8 a.m. class and like take the class at 8 a.m., like get in right on the dot. And I was like obsessed. And I loved it. And I found, like, I started doing it like all summer long. And then if I skipped like maybe 4 or 5 days. I didn't go for like a week.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I feel my body like not as
Yes,
good. But I
yeah.
also felt like I was more easily angry. I was
Interesting.
agitated a lot
Yes,
quicker.
yes, yes,
Right? Because
yes.
I wasn't like, and my family like likes to fight. Like we're like loud.
Feel that.
Yeah, Jersey Italian,
I wish I had that excuse for my family, but we're just loud and like to fight.
Florida. Yeah,
Florida.
that count. That's fine. They're
Mine
like,
is loud. I'm Brazilian.
right,
So.
Brazil.
Yeah,
You got
drama,
it. So
yeah.
it's
They
like
don't fight.
loud.
Your mom
Yeah.
is like a big ball of love.
Well,
Loud. My mom's also half deaf, so it's just like layers and layers and layers.
Oh
and
my gosh.
Yeah, lots of layers in my family. Nothing's easy. But like, as somebody who also was taught so much to like kind of be quiet and like not always listen to, like it was another like frustration.
Yeah.
But anyway, that being said, I found that yoga would help my mental
Amazing.
health
Yes.
and let me feel calm
Yep.
and relaxed and present.
Yep.
And that was the beginning of my journey. And then like it just would continue, right?
Yeah.
Like I would go back and forth through college and take classes in the summer and do this and that. And it wasn't until I graduated, I got like really like deep dove into yoga.
Sure.
Yeah.
I can see that it can be, I don't want to say addictive, but at the same time, because it is like, it's like a lifestyle. The people that you are usually there
Yeah.
with are kind of all on the same wavelength as you. They're all focused on either trying to hit a flexibility goal or reach
Totally.
a deeper inner, self. And that's what really helped us to become more into it as well, is really the flexibility point. Is
Totally.
we lift weights and I'm 30 something. And so when you lift weights and you're 30 something, you're going to have pain and you're going to be tight and you're going to need consistent ways to balance that. And so we have really, we live like 8-minute walk from your yoga studio. So it's
cool.
like perfect for us, or at least where we met.
yeah, I
but
would like to walk to go to yoga. It's actually part of a routine.
Yeah,
When
just
we
being
miss a
able to, like,
day
get
or
up.
two, we feel like there's something missing. Our yoga,
Right.
our stretches.
I'm sure you can relate, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's like when you're in the zone and you're going off, and just a few days away, you're like, oh, my body can tell. And I totally agree as well. It's definitely helped me with anger, with anxiety,
Breathing.
stress, breathing. And like, to circle back, marijuana is great, but it can, even for the most experienced user, take you to a place you don't want to go if you're not aware of how much you're taking and what your intentions are. And yoga has helped me if I ever feel like I'm taking a wrong turn, because sometimes it can be a small amount and you're taking a wrong turn. But those breathing exercises, even just stretching, kind of allows me to refocus and get back to just trying to enjoy the process instead of let my anxiety run wild.
It's so funny because I think like with yoga, it's a paradox, because even though yogis are very go with the flow, like yogis want full control.
Yes.
Think about it. Like when you're taking a yoga class, it's like, I'm engaging this muscle exactly,
Right.
right? I'm
Yeah.
doing this breath exactly. And
Right.
it's like, I'm always trying to find, how can I control myself in these moments?
Yes.
Which is funny because we also can't control anything,
Right.
right? So it's this like dichotomy of like,
Definitely.
oh, like I'm learning to find control
Right.
to be able to like give in to no control.
Right.
'Cause-
Controlling my breath to accept the fact that I have no control.
Absolutely, exactly. That's it. And that's what people get like hung up,
Sure.
get like excited about, right?
Yeah.
They come to yoga for like, I think the body's always the gateway drug, right?
Absolutely.
Like
Yes.
it's the most physical thing. You can see it, you can feel
Yeah.
it, you experience it, and then that's what yoga like touches on. And then
Yeah.
you start like finding like, oh wow, I can like do a headstand for the first time. I can like touch my toes. All these like these little things about your body.
Yep.
But then like you start finding like, okay, like oh, my breath has such power, and then oh, like wow, like I'm really aware of my thoughts.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
the emotions that are tied to my thoughts, and like what's coming up for me right now, and like okay, does this serve me or does it not serve me? Can I choose to let it go? Can I
Yeah.
choose to or can I choose to dissect it and like excavate where it comes from, and then let it go, right?
Right.
And then you find just this sense of like oneness.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we're all going for, of course.
For sure. Do you only participate in yoga for physical activity, or do you also go to the gym and lift weights? Because
I do
you're
everything.
super fit.
Thank you.
And I personally wouldn't say that yoga for me is like a workout, because my workouts are different than what I would do at yoga, but some people do use it in that capacity. And when I tell a lot of my patients, you should try yoga, it's really helpful for stretching and flexibility and the reasons we've already discussed. Like, no, it's not a good workout for me. I'm like, it's not a workout. It's not. I'm telling you to add it,
Totally.
not
Yeah.
replace.
Well,
But it's complicated, right?
it depends on what you're. Okay, here's what I'll say. There are many styles of yoga,
Yes,
and there are many different teachers.
that's true.
And teachers have different ways of doing things.
Have you been to Leslie's class?
We're like very close friends.
She is intense.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Oh, we love it.
We
Yeah.
love it.
Great workout.
It's like we have this like inside joke, because who else do we talk to us about? We're like, are we gonna do Leslie tonight? I don't know. She hates us. But she's iconic. She's
I
like,
love her.
Her classes are always completely full.
Yeah.
But when you're going to a Leslie class, you are getting a workout,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not.
It's funny because people want to like always, we get compared to a lot
Yeah, I can see that.
in different ways. Like,
Sure.
And me and her laugh all the time about it because she's like the drill sergeant, like, oh, want it, and I'm like I love you, now do it. Kind
Right,
of
yeah.
Like I'm like the softer, like
Sure.
nice one.
Sure.
Equally as hard if you want
Yeah.
it to be
Yeah, I
reading
like
the
that.
room. But yeah, yoga can be one of the hardest things you ever do in your life.
sure.
Yeah.
And also one of the most like restorative. It just depends on like what is the factor you're going for.
Yeah. How do you get people who are interested but aren't sure how to like approach it? Give an example. Like we have friends who are like, "Oh, I just feel uncomfortable because I don't know the poses," or "I, don't
not
feel
flexible.
Yes, this is the number one. I'm not flexible. I'm like, well, that's why you go to yoga.
Yeah.
You go. I mean, this is the thing. You can't make anyone
You're right.
do what they want to do, right? And so I never force anyone to do anything.
Yeah.
If you're a beginner, like my biggest like advice is like, you gotta allow yourself to be a beginner.
Yeah.
Like, you have to allow yourself to not know everything and be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And like, you are learning a new skill. It takes time to learn something, and I think people now want those instant results. Like, oh, I want to buy
Yeah.
something right now. One tap, got it today.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
5 hours.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? People want instant results.
Yeah.
And that's not the way that yoga works.
Or medicine for anyone out there.
And, right.
That's
And-
what happens to me is I have people ask me questions like, what can I do for X, Y, and Z? I'm like, well, this is where you start and the result will be here when it's here. You have to put those feet in front of each other and
Totally.
be the beginner, let the adjustment period. There's an adjustment period for everything, whether it's starting a vitamin, taking a new medicine, whether you're starting a workout, there's an adjustment period.
And it's also like asking, right? Like go to classes and and
Yeah.
find, again, like everyone's different. So like go to don't go to one class and be like, oh, that was so hard, or
Yeah.
like that was so boring. Like try a different teacher,
Right.
or try a teacher twice. Because I will say like sometimes like you don't even
Yeah.
get the best version of a teacher on one
Right,
single day.
yeah.
And then like ask questions.
Yeah.
Maybe hire like how you would hire a personal trainer. Like buy a 5-class pack from and like, hey, I want to learn how to do yoga. Can you teach me like poses and things? Like,
Right.
okay, let's do it. Let's get you ready for your body.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But to like want to go in and like just be comfortable doing things, like that's not how anything works.
Yeah.
How we started, it was back in 2020 in the pandemic. We wanted to do yoga. We want to be more flexible in general, but we do not want to go to a studio yet because we're beginners, right?
Yeah.
What we did was we found this channel on YouTube. I don't know if you heard of her, Yoga with Adrian.
I know you're right, Adrian.
And we
Yeah.
became huge fans. We learned the basics of yoga and we started doing it at home. I think that's the main secret because, if you're a beginner, you don't have to jump into a studio right away. You
No.
can learn at home. There's so many resources available for free on YouTube
Yeah.
that you can start.
Yeah, especially if you want to get comfortable in your own setting, or if you live in a city where maybe you're not sure if a yoga class is a place that you would be accepted. I mean, there's people out there.
Totally.
It's predominantly, at least in the South, predominantly females
Yes.
are the ones who are in the classes and teaching the classes.
I was the one little gay boy with all the house moms. I get it.
Amazing. But yeah, just to start with, I think I also have a shifted perspective. When we start new things, we have each other, so we're like able to push
Yeah.
each other, especially at the gym or the
Yeah.
yoga studio or wherever we're at.
Yeah.
And what I would walk away, heaven forbid something were to happen to either of us, but I would probably think of having a partner to start with at yoga. Maybe there's a friend on your neighborhood or someone because you can kind of keep each other accountable. Just the same with the gym. Like if you are struggling on your own, maybe there's someone out there who's also struggling, would do really well with a partner to help sort of push each other. Because I do think that we do that a lot for each other. But speaking of each other, since we're talking about struggling, what is it like to date in LA? I have to get back to your
full
Instagram
circle.
Yes.
stories.
Do you have one in mind that you're thinking of?
Honestly, so I mean, I don't want to like completely go into your personal life, but at the same time, I haven't been single in 6 years.
Yeah.
I've never dated here, but when I grew up in Jacksonville and knew of LA, and I never thought that I'd be able to live here, but I thought of it as like the gay mecca. I thought this
Totally.
would be the best place to date. You have many options. There's so many things to do.
Yeah.
Granted, social media has happened in between that time frame, a
For sure.
pandemic, lots of other political and economic and mental stressors that we all face now are different than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So what would you say for someone out there who's like thinking maybe they're in a small city somewhere and they're considering moving to a big city or to LA? Like, what is it like to date nowadays?
God, I have so many thoughts. I don't even know where to begin.
That's great.
I like pretty much this morning. Last night I was telling my friend, I'm like, I'm waving my white flag. I've like officially surrendered. I give
Yes.
up. I'm done.
Yes.
I don't know. I think my whole life I've always just really been short of like finding a partner. I've never really dated my entire life. I've had like 2 kind of boyfriends, and they were both Tauruses, and just both not matches. And I think so much of that was even like knowing that they weren't right for me, but like just craving to be in a relationship. So like just having a boyfriend for a boyfriend's
Yeah.
sake, but not really being able to invest in
Right.
that as a partner.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I've always just believed in love. I've always just have loved, and maybe it's from all the Disney movies or all like the rom-coms I've watched my whole life, and like what is possible.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's so much that is possible. Like, what's stopping you from like meeting somebody and having like a life and a dream together?
Yeah.
Right? And I've met so many people who have the most crazy stories of how they met and then how they like chose each other to continue.
Wow.
And
Sure.
so I guess I've always been waiting for someone to choose me.
Yeah.
And it's hard. I you know, like I feel like I've had to overcome so much of my own self-sabotage where it's like I'm not attractive enough, or like I'm not smart enough, or like it's all the I'm not enoughs, right?
right,
That you
right.
come into,
Doubts.
and then you like compare yourself to people who you
Yes.
would maybe, and not like maybe it's like, oh, I so and so has a boyfriend,
Yeah.
so
They're crazy.
that's
Yeah.
what? And you're like, how is
Yes.
that possible? And
Yeah.
I'm
The
single,
comparison.
right? So it's just, but one of the biggest things I've been really trying to focus on, especially in those moments where like, God, when when you have like maybe I don't know, when you have like a miss after miss after miss
Yeah.
after miss, and you're like, is it me?
Yeah.
It's been like, okay, right time, right place,
Yeah.
Yes.
and divine timing.
Mhm.
And so part of this whole like kind of like surrender of like, I've had so many, I have like repeating patterns of things that come into my life. One is always the beautiful open gay relationship of like how Heart
Sure.
community has people who are always
Sure.
open, which is great. And I've always been more of a like monogamous kind
Yeah.
of guy.
Sure.
Just like I want my person,
Yeah.
I want to do our thing.
It's hard
I wanna go buy
enough
our villa
with
in
one.
Italy and like we construct it. Like I'm ready to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But married men love me.
Married to
Married to other men.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't play with
Right.
straight boys.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
real complicated.
That's not my
Yeah.
thing.
Someone's gonna get really hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna be me. It's gonna be
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I leave you alone.
Yeah.
But straight men love me, which is funny enough. Straight men
I
like
could see
Yeah,
that.
straight men, women love me.
I'm sure.
The gay boys get afraid of me. So I have like unavailable married person
Sure.
or like coupled person. And my other big one is always the person I meet on vacation. Yeah.
Temporary.
Right. I find somebody always on vacation.
Yep.
Most recently I found somebody when I was in Australia.
Wow.
And it was like a magical like 2
Sure,
weeks of
sure.
love, and then like it came like, okay, I was like, well, I'm leaving tomorrow morning, like what do you want to do? And he goes, I don't want to do long distance. And I was like, okay. And like I mean like I met his mom. Like I was like,
Wow.
it was like, yeah. So I find myself getting really invested quickly with people. 'Cause that's how I am. I'm very
Right.
open.
Yeah.
I see a
And-
lot of myself in that as well. I mean, I'm kind of like, I like to jump in if but I also agree that throughout my dating life, I don't usually go in with like, well, maybe we should be a little cautious. No, I'm like, let's just do
Let's
it. Let's
do
just
it.
see how it goes.
Go for it.
Yeah.
I think I was the opposite, and especially when we met, I did not want to date
Yeah.
anytime soon. I raised my white flag and I said, I don't want to date. But I think that's the cliche works a lot of times when you're not expecting is when
Yeah.
you're going to find somebody,
Yeah,
when you're not
totally.
looking for, you're going to find somebody. And when we met, I was not looking for anybody, neither a serious relationship at that point, and we clicked. We clicked the first night we met.
Yeah.
We clicked we were like best friends instantaneously, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give him a chance, and here we are now, 6 years later.
Do you feel like because you've touched on so many things I relate to. I feel like I love the amount of naive sort of spirit that I still can retain,
Yeah.
which a lot of society tries to take away from us and sort of belittle us for. I am certainly a Disney princess on the inside too.
Absolutely.
A big fan of
Yes.
love, a big fan of rom-coms. I've lived my life dating the same way you are kind of recalling it as well. Always jumped in head first, and the worst case scenario is we walk away, right?
Yes.
Of course feelings can get hurt, but I've never been against opportunities to meet
Exactly.
someone and to connect.
Exactly.
I guess again that could be a bit of being naive. And I had many traumatic cycles of dating the same guy over and over again. And then eventually I raised my white flag as well. I was like, I think I'm just going to see what happens. I'm just going to focus on being single. And that's when, I found someone. But, do you feel like now that you're like done dating, do you enjoy dating? Like what?
I mean, I think one of my lessons is that I'm a go-getter. Like I go after what I want. And so I'm not afraid to ever like ask someone out or like make the first move. But like, again, it really is that like wanting someone to choose you. And I'm like waiting for that person to like look across the dance floor and be like, that person fucking is awesome. I need to meet them right now. And just like, that's how it happened. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But yeah, I just think even right now, like to talk on like maybe in the past when I had more opportunities of like maybe when I dated more, I was always like the Sag who was like, right, classic Sag is like, oh, I don't do this forever. Like don't tie me down. Don't put me in a box. You can't trap me.
Yep.
And the idea of forever always scared me. And so like I had to shift that perspective into like, I don't choose you forever. I choose you right now every day. Like, I'm just choosing you every moment I want to choose you.
Yep.
And so that was a big shift in my like looking for like how I want a partner to be in my life. But even now, like I don't live anywhere. Right. And I'm going through this whole like reprogramming of how I function in the world. And, from May 15th through July, I'm not going to be in town. That's 6 weeks out of town. I have a one-way ticket to Australia for October 1st. Like lots of things are changing. And so it's like, maybe I'm ready for a partner to be on that adventure with me, but like, I'm also not grounded anywhere to have anyone either.
Yeah.
And so I'm just learning more about myself and figuring out what it means to date again in like quirky ways, but also like not attached to it. Like I have friends and people I want to see and how I want to spend my time.
Did you set that intention when you're sort of making this plan of trying to detach from your, materialist things and kind of creating this new adventure for you? You were like, all right, I'm not going to focus on dating right now. I'm going to just do me and then see what happens. Or did it kind of just so happen that you're going to be gone and dating is really would be difficult either way right now?
A little bit of both. I mean, I will say this is not my first white flag that I've waved. I have a whole bag full of white flags.
Sure.
But like, and that's what happens but the thing is like, again, like, example with this guy from Australia.
Yeah.
Like, I went to Australia with the full intention of like having fun. I was like, I'm gonna have fun. I'm with 20 of my friends from the States.
Oh my God.
We're gonna have like 3 weeks in Sydney. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm gonna meet all the boys and just gonna go explore and dance and whatever. And I met this boy like day 4.
Of course.
And then we spent every day together.
Wow.
So it's like, wasn't looking for it.
Sure.
And then found it. And then like it got cut off. Right. So it's like one of those like, I wasn't looking for it, and then you gave it to me, and now it's taken away from me. I didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's always like, but again, like when something's given to you, you deep dive in.
For sure.
So it's just hard to always find, it's all these little lines, right? That's life. It's all these fine little lines of like, is it this or is it this? Is it that step or that step? Is this the balance or that balance?
Yeah.
And so I think they feed each other. I think like now, like I'm focused on doing some work I'm going to Norway for some work.
Amazing.
I'm going to Puerto Rico for a full month to do some yoga training things and like be invested as a yogi and a student again for a month.
Amazing.
I'm looking to do the East Coast summer and like there's nothing like a New York summer night.
We love New York in
right?
summer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Australia. So like just like there's no real time, and I don't know. I think like having fun is fun.
Yeah.
And I always go back and forth. Like, do I want fun or do I want something real? Or do I want to like invest in myself right now and do my own thing? Or like, do I want to invest in like meeting new people? It's always like a little bit of a balance you have to play with. And it's presence.
I think that's everyone. We all have to try to find that balance for what works for us now, because you can have it all eventually, right?
Totally.
You can have the stability, the fun, the person that you want to be with forever, and still be able to experience all those adventures. But I think it's going to happen for you at the right moment. You definitely have that light. I mean, we the first time we saw him, we're like, we gotta know this guy better. Like, you just carry that. And I think that's why too, you probably end up in these situations where there's like a lot of passion for a short period of time. It happened to me too. I love like a 2-week vacation fling, or like a summer camp, or like I'd go on cruises a lot with my family growing up. We'd go for like a week and I'd have a girlfriend. I mean, I was 12. So just someone be my somebody for a week.
Absolutely. Who's my partner?
I like to be assigned or, attached to someone and you experience those things. So I totally get that. Yeah. But I'm hopeful that you'll come back once you have all of these beautiful journeys behind you and tell us what you've learned. Who knows?
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're always going to be invited.
Yeah.
You can be
We're
here
gonna do part 2.
anytime.
Can't wait.
Yes.
And you're gonna share all the
maybe-
stories from Australia, Norway,
Yeah,
and
Puerto
Absolutely.
Rico.
You can come do it in Australia. We can do
Oh
the
my
stream
God,
there.
Could you imagine?
I could. Have you been?
I never been.
I've been.
You've
It's been a while, but I've been.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
It's
It's
amazing.
very similar. I mean, I find it to be very comforting how similar it is to here. I mean, there's obvious lots of different things, but the conveniences of like modern, just American lifestyle are very similar in Australia. When I go to Europe, I'm like, I'm a little off, or South America, I'm a little off. But Australia's like, okay, I can
language
wake up.
helps.
I can wake up in the Hilton there and be like, oh, I'm still in LA.
Totally.
The language definitely helps.
Yeah.
And they love, well, at least they used to love Americans. Who knows what they think of us now?
Right.
It's so funny because whenever I was growing up, every summer in DC, we would go to Rehoboth Beach.
Uh-huh.
And that's like the big like gay beach for Memorial
Yes,
Day. So
yes,
all
yes,
the gays
yes.
do. So they flock. And like I would go there and you'd have like mostly DC, but also you'd have like New York, some
Sure.
Philly, some like North Carolina.
Yeah.
And they'd ask like, where are you from? And I'd say, I'm from DC, but I'm not that kind of gay. I'm a nice DC gay. So it's like when you go to Sydney, it's like, I'm American, but I'm a good
No,
American.
yeah.
I promise you.
I'm a nice one.
I'm Italian.
That's what we'll have to give a sort of disclaimer when we travel around now. So I don't want to put you on the spot, but maybe if you wanted to conduct a little breath work as we exit, or like just like a quick maybe way that for someone out there, I don't know, maybe they just want to focus on relaxing or
Totally.
taking that moment, and maybe you could guide us through that real quick
Yeah.
as we exit.
So let's go through 2 different types of breath work.
Okay.
One of my favorite types of breath work is called the 4-7-8. And it's a great kind of breath. If you're ever like in a mode where you're like kind of activated,
Yeah.
it will kind of bring you to that like homeostasis and like it's like a full reset. So the protocol is you have an inhale for 4 counts, you hold for 7, and you exhale for 8. And doing that for about like 8 rounds, you'll sort of see like, oh, my nervous system feels like it's like actually calmer.
Wow.
So let's do that together.
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's go.
Please. Okay.
Give me a full exhale out the mouth. Empty, empty. Good. Okay. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your voice is so
Wow.
relaxing.
Oh, thanks.
It really is.
I feel more relaxed now.
Yeah, I do too. And there's actually a lot of clinical evidence around this model. They've done it to try and conduct how people can improve their flexibility. And when you get to that point when you're feeling that trigger of pain, if you do that exact count, it can
Wow.
actually help you to get past that and to sustain holding in that more difficult or painful position.
Totally. It's
Very cool.
It's so funny. People oftentimes in yoga, like even I can't tell you the number of times my single cue is breathe. Where's the breath? I don't
Right.
hear you breathing, right? Because people
Yes.
just like don't do, or they hold their
It's-
breath.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
in yoga, like breath is called prana,
Yeah.
and prana also is life, right?
Right.
Prana is breath, prana is life. And so it's literally the first thing you do when you're born and the last thing you do before you die
Yeah.
is you're
Right.
breathing,
Wow.
right? So people like don't know how to breathe.
And coming from the weightlifting realm, we hold our breath constantly.
Absolutely.
So when we're trying to hit that pose, this is always me. So when you're saying, don't forget to breathe, that is
Like,
helping
oh.
me a lot because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, right, because I'm focused on trying to hit the
movement.
move.
Absolutely.
That's
When in
amazing.
fact, the breath will
Help us
guide
get
the
to
movement,
move, right?
right? It's just a like, oh,
Yes.
okay, makes sense.
Yes.
My other favorite breath, it's called Nadi Shodhana. It's a yoga style breathing called equal nostril breathing. And so when you get into more like, no, I said that the body was more of like the gateway,
Yeah.
but we have other bodies, right? Physical, breath,
Right.
emotional, mental, right?
Yep.
So in the kind of like energetics of yoga, you have your spinal cord, and what aligns with the spinal cord is also like the sushumna, which is the main like channel of energy. And they say that all your energy is stored at the basin of your Sushumna, right? The Kundalini.
Right.
And then you have the Ida and the Pingala, which are these two kind of spirals that go and wrap down the spine. And then again, these are all energy cycles.
Sure.
And so the right nostril is to the left side brain, right? It's the more feminine side of the brain.
Okay.
And it connects to one of the spirals. And the left nostril connects to the right brain, the more like masculine solar brain, and connects to the other cycle. So sometimes when your nervous system's out of whack, right? Sometimes it's either an imbalance of like too much feminine or too much masculine, right, in the body. And so Narishodhana, what it does is it kind of brings breath in and out of the nostrils to kind of reset the balance. So how I do it, I mean, there's also fun hand things you can do, but easy just to plug your nose.
Yeah.
Usually it's an inhale through one nostril fully. You plug it, switch it, and exhale. And then you inhale, plug, switch, exhale. Yeah. So let's do that for like just 4 rounds real
let's
fast.
do it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's soften the shoulders. Good. Exhale all the air out of the body. Take one of your fingers and plug the right nostril. Good. Inhale fully. Plug left, open, switch. Exhale. Inhale. Plug, switch. Exhale. Inhale. Plug, switch. Exhale. Inhale. Plug, switch. Exhale. Release your hands. Full inhale. And exhale. And that was just 2 rounds. Usually you do up to 8. And yeah, it's a nice like full like rebalancing of your nervous system.
Yeah, the heart rate is nice and relaxed now. Yeah. For those of us in medicine, what it does, our parasympathetic nervous system connects to 2 parts of our heart called the SA node and the AV node, and they basically monitor and control like the rate and the rhythm of how your heart is moving.
Yeah.
And so what it's doing is as you're stimulating that breath, it stimulates that parasympathetic nerve to over-dominate the sympathetic nerve and relaxes our heart rate. So just a little bit. Just let me put my degree to work a little bit here.
I mean, anytime your exhale is longer than your inhale, that will sort of calm your nervous system down.
Yes, exactly.
That's why the force of an 8 works. That's why this kind of breath works. Yeah.
Well, I hope to have you back very soon, and you can
that.
tell us all the fun stories of all your adventures. You are a bright light of energy with every room you walk in, and I cannot wait to see you at yoga next time.
Come whenever you want.
We will.
We will.
Any questions for us before we leave? I mean, I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this. What's been your favorite yoga pose to work on?
Ooh. Okay.
I have mine. Do you have yours?
Go ahead.
So mine is the crow.
Okay.
Because when I do it, it's always come a little bit easy to me. So when I do it, I feel like a badass because I can go for like a long time.
Great.
But I cannot do the extended where you push the leg out and it's like the
one-legged crow?
Yeah, I can't. Like where the leg is extended instead. Yeah.
You have one in the elbow, one back?
I want to do that. That's my
Okay,
next
great.
goal.
That's just a little bit of core.
Okay.
A little bit of shifting the weight. And if you love crow, since it's easy for you, if you want to like up-level your crow, do it with straight arms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that will be in the build of strength for that one, like, gonna go back.
Now we have work to do together.
Can't wait.
What's yours?
I think you taught me it was the mermaid.
Oh, and pigeon with the back leg.
It start with the pigeon and then
He's
you
good at
transform into the mermaid. It's hard.
Who doesn't want to be a mermaid?
But
I mean, come on.
yeah, I think that's why I like it.
Ariel is my princess, so like that's where I feel aligned to it as well.
Yeah.
I love a mermaid.
What an amazing movie that is too.
So good.
Anyways, thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.
Bye.